Last night, that's right, folks, A Nightmare on Elm Street #4, The Dream Master. So, I mean, this movie, like, I don't know, like, once again, I just gotta say, before we start, the posters, the Nightmare on Elm Street posters, man, I want that shit on my wall. Does anyone know where I can find the movie posters for A Nightmare on Elm Street series? Because all of these are banger after banger. It's just great artwork. I love it. I love the posters for these movies. I just think they're phenomenal. But once again, here we are in the A Nightmare on Elm Street series, the franchise that is really long, and it's all good. So, of course, if you're watching this and you haven't seen my reviews for 1, 2, and 3, go check those out. Once again, I will say tonight I'll be watching A Nightmare on Elm Street 5. And so if you want to watch with me, or if you want to try to catch up and do whatever, I will be watching one horror movie a night from now up until Halloween. Unless it, like, you know, I want to do some days where I'm just picking something totally at random. So I won't announce those, but for everything else, I'll announce it. But anyway, A Nightmare on Elm Street 4, The Dream Master. One thing I love about the A Nightmare on Elm Street movies is how, like, certain characters will last for multiple movies, but they usually end up dying off, right? So in 1 and 3, you have the main character from 1 that shows up as, like, a mentor in 3, and then dies in 3. But the people that, like, the Elm Street children that she mentored in 3 live on. Some of them die, some of them live on in 4, and then they get knocked off in 4, but then they transfer their power to someone else in 4. So 4 is called the Dream Master. Now, originally they talk about, oh, it's like a rhyme or something for you to, like, become lucid in your dream. And then it kind of turns into, like, a thing where, like, one of the characters basically starts taking on the powers, so to speak. Now, again, we're talking about powers. We're talking about dream powers. And that's what's interesting about the A Nightmare on Elm Street series, because a lot of its contemporaries, like Friday the 13th, most notably, Halloween, Texas Chainsaw Massacre, a lot of these other franchises, right, they're less magical and more grounded in reality, even if, like, you know, Michael Myers is a magical being of some kind, or, like, you know, like Candyman, a magical being of some kind. But other than that, like, they're pretty much still grounded in reality. Whereas A Nightmare on Elm Street, like, most of the, well, not most, but a good portion of the action takes place in the dream world. And so, like, there's less rules, right? So, like, when someone gets killed by Freddy, sure, they're going to give the Dream Master their powers. And what are their powers? I don't know. Like, you put on a cool studded belt, and then now you got powers. You can do, like, some jump kicks or whatever, right? My favorite part of this, well, I don't know about favorite, but I always start every part with my favorite part. But one of my things that I loved was that invisible fight scene where the one kid is getting killed, but, like, they love, like, doing, like, martial arts or whatever. So, but, like Freddy Krueger's invisible, so it's just him, like, right? Like, I mean, like, I don't know. They were probably in the writer's room and we're like, okay, so our budget is going down for these movies. What are we going to do? Oh, I know. Let's do, like, a 5-minute invisible fight scene where we don't even need to have Freddy Krueger on screen. Oh, sounds great. Let's throw it in. And so, I don't know. I love the deaths in this movie because I love how, like, again, I love the smooth transition from the characters of Dream Warriors, and then they're all, like, characters in Dream Master for, like, the first half, and then they start dying off, and then, you know, again, they start giving their powers to Kristen, and then Kristen, who's the character from the 3rd movie, gives her powers to Alice, who's the new character in the 4th movie, who's, like, the sister of Kristen's boyfriend or some shit. That's how they know each other. Anyway, the rules, I mean, again, Freddy dies again in some really silly way. Honestly, I forget how he dies in this movie. It's some shit. Like, some, like, dream bullshit. Anyway, he's coming back. You know, there's a 5th movie. I'm going to be watching that tonight. But anyway, he's coming back. But one of the things I love is when the characters carry from sequel to sequel. I love that kind of thing. A lot of slasher movies that I've seen are like, you know, there's a new cast for every film or whatever. Whereas Nightmare on Elm Street, they love to share the cast a little bit. I just think it's really good. Yeah, Freddy, the character of Freddy, Fredward, is a little, I think, a lot more silly in part 4 than any of the previous parts. I mean, there's always that kind of like layer of comedy and goofiness that Freddy kind of portrays. But in this one, I mean, like, you got the one scene with the sunglasses where Freddy puts on the sunglasses. I mean, like, that's a great scene. I don't know what else to tell you. Freddy in fucking shades is just, it's really good. Yeah, like, this one definitely gets a lot more goofy, right? And then you have the Alice, who's the Dream Master now, and she's got like these powers where she can do like fucking flips and kicks in the air, and it's just like, it's interesting, it's super cool. I enjoy it. I think A Nightmare on Elm Street is a great series, and you know, for me, this is why I'm starting this horror marathon with A Nightmare on Elm Street. It's been a long time since I've watched every single one in the series. Every once in a while, I'll usually like watch one of them, just, you know, just pick whichever one. But this time I decided, you know what, just refresh my memory. Let's watch all of them. And so again, they're all a lot better than I remembered, to be honest. Like, I remember like 3 being my favorite, and I remember bits and pieces from all of them. But like, yeah, 4 is a solid entry. I would say that like the quality, like, you know, I don't like doing rankings or like number ratings. But as far as quality, I think that A Nightmare on Elm Street sequels all have like a very similar quality, right? Like, they go down, like, they get a little goofier, but then they kind of reel it back in. They get a little more violent, you know, in some ways, but also it takes place in a dream. So is it really violent? Who knows, right? But I think this is a great. One of the best parts in this movie is when Kristen's mom drugs her with sleeping pills. And then now imagine you're Kristen's mom, and the last words that your child ever says to you is, "You just murdered me, Mom. I hope you have to think about this," or whatever she said. But the key phrase was, "You just murdered me." And then she runs up to her bedroom, falls asleep, and then Freddy kills her. Like, imagine that mother is going to have one fucked up life. You know what I mean? Like, she drugs her kid, which is like already pretty fucked up, but like she thinks she's doing it for a good reason. And then her kid's final words to her is, "You just murdered me." And at the time, she's thinking, oh, what an overreaction. And then she ends up dying. I mean, damn, I wouldn't want to be that mom, I'm telling you. But also, Kristen, I mean, as far as getting final words in, those are pretty good on the last words. You're going to fuck your mom up for the rest of her life for sure. And I'm guessing that's the intention, because she literally just murdered you for no reason. But again, I just love how, like, the parents in these movies are always so fucking stupid. Like, even the dad from part 1, and then he's also in part 3, right? Like, even he's pretty stupid. Like, he knows that, like, he saw his wife get absorbed by, like, the gonzone or whatever, and even he's still, like, weird about it. Like, I don't know. It's just, like, I don't know. It's these characters, don't analyze them too much. Anyway, so we're back to the Dream Master. So Alice is like the main. She starts as like a side character. Like, she's really not. Like, I mean, she has like the intro scene or whatever, or something like that. Like, she's, you know, but like she's really kind of like a side character. Kristen is kind of the main character, and then she dies and passes it on. So it's like you get to see the torch passing in the movie as opposed to like in between the movies. You know, sometimes these horror franchises will be like, oh, there's a new main character, but they're in between the movies. I like when it's in the movies. Anyway, yeah, I mean, I think A Nightmare on Elm Street's a banger. It's a banger franchise, and I'm excited to watch part 5. If you want to watch part 5 tonight and show up tomorrow for the review, that would be great. If not, well, I mean, I'm going to talk about it regardless. But yeah, I mean, there you go. So once again, I will be going through all of the A Nightmare on Elm Street films. And then I'll be getting into some other stuff, and I will take more requests in October. And I've also, once again, I have to say it, I will be doing some horror video game streams on twitch.tv. So I'm going to be playing Silent Hills, going to be playing Resident Evils, some other stuff I've got up my sleeve, but, you know, I like to throw the obvious ones out there, and the other ones may be a surprise. They might not be a surprise. It depends. And so if you want to check that out, I will be uploading the archives to YouTube as well. Yeah, we're doing a lot. I'm doing a lot this year, and I'm excited. I love horror. It's my favorite genre, and I'm excited to learn more. Every time I do one of these, I learn more. I watch something new, play something new. And, you know, there you go. And that's all I got. So.